Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Well, just want to bring you along right quick here on the 4840. I got to get the saddle tanks put on this thing, and I think I've mentioned it before, but we've got some small tanks. I think they're 65 gallon a piece, and it works great because they actually sit right into these rock boxes, and so that works out pretty good. We actually use it for a pop-up on the planter, in furrow through the seed firmers, and so we can do with a full batch of the pop-up, we can run roughly right at about 30 acres, give or take a little bit, and so not too awful bad. There's definitely bigger tanks out there, and the thing is, then you got to do a completely different type of framework. My neighbor that we bought this tractor off of, he said he had a set of big tanks that you could actually take and slide the rock box. In fact, if you saw my videos where I overhauled this tractor, I took the rock box frame off, but he said the tanks he had, you could actually take the rock box and slide it out of this square tube and put the tank back and put the tanks in. But they were a good bit taller, and it was going to be just a lot of hassle, so we never got those from him. And the ones we got, they were good enough for us, and so I've got to get the tanks dug out there, back there underneath the bean planter, clear back in the corner. So I got to get them brought up here to the front, and we'll start getting these mounted on. Right, there's my tanks. And I take and set a 2x4 in here, and those little feet stands of the tank sit right on top of each 2x4, and so that works out pretty good. Yeah, like I say, I think these, if I remember right, they're 65 gallon a piece, and so like I say, we can do roughly about 30 acres. Because we run right at five gallons per acre of pop-up, and so it works out pretty good that way. Like I say, I've seen other tractors that got the great big giant, probably 200 gallon tanks on each side, 250, maybe 300, I'm not sure. I guess some of the four-wheel drives are on great big giant saddle tanks. I've seen those also, but like I say, these here work for us. That's what counts. So let me see here if I can get you set up. Hey, maybe I'll just stick you right there on top of the tire. That'll work. And then we'll get the tank set up on top. Now there's that one. Like I say, sitting in the rock box, it actually works pretty good. You just line up the 2x4 underneath these end pieces over here, and it works great that way. If I remember right, we started running this pop-up product back in 2011, if I remember correctly. This here is the little air vent tube. I just take and stick it down through that notch right there. And what we can do if we need to take and top the tanks completely off, because this little bung here on the top sticks down there just a little bit, and so sometimes they have a tendency to want to come up and spill out, so we can take and shut these little inline ball valves off. But you just got to make sure to take and get those open back up when you go to take and start pumping fertilizer back into it. And this hookup right here, that's the fill hookup. I got a fill hose I run from the left hand side of the tractor. would help if I threw my 2x4s in the bottom. There we go. Yeah, taking similar to 2x4 up right underneath that foot part of the tank. Good to go there. All right, it's got that one. Now we're ready for the fill hose. Now we'll get the fill hose laid out here. It just goes across front of the tank, right across the front edge of that rock box. And yes, I do take and tie the tanks down. And this part right here, I just have these two tabs welded on the end of the rock box. That just slips around through there like that and bolts to that, because that is the fill hookup where you can plug in right here and fill it up. Get the bolts in, tighten down, just like that. One nice thing with this pop-up, it's not corrosive, because we've accidentally run the tanks over it, sprayed over the tractor, and that's the nice thing with it. It don't rust, or it don't make stuff rust. So that's what makes it nice. Made by a company out of Ohio called Growers. I think it's called Growers Chemical Corporation, if I remember right, Milan, Ohio. All right, that's getting that one tightened up. But like I say, we've used it for a long time now. In fact, what we do, we actually use it in place of starter. We don't run actual starter fertilizer through the planter anymore. Now, with the pop-up, we simply run just straight 28% in the planter tanks, and the pop-up here in these tanks. So it's worked out pretty good that way. Alrighty. Well, now we'll get that top hose hooked up. Now taking through a little bit of WD on that hose barb and shoot a little bit down the hose. That just makes it pop on there a little bit easier, and also makes it easier coming off. And you want to take it apart for after spring planting's all done. Time to take them back off. Alright, get the clamp put onto it. There we go. Ooh. Gotta watch, I almost broke the clamp. Okay, now it's time for, we'll jump over to the other side. This side's basically just the same way. Bring it up, set it on the top, that front lip right there, the rock box. And sitting right there, when I go to take and tie it all down, my strap goes right over top that and holds it in place. Same thing up here. Throw a little WD onto it, it'll pop on that hose barb. Yeah, there we go. Alrighty, that's got that one. This here's the hose that connects and draws out of the tanks. It just has this simple screw connection that goes on each end where the banjo ball valve is. I just taken through a little plug in the end of them. And then it goes through, it hits a 50 mesh and then an 80 mesh filter before it goes on back to the manifold on the planter. And on the planter, I have, well, there are actually 12 inline 100 mesh filters on it in each one of the little lines. If I think of it here, I'll show those to you and include that in the video. Get this plug popped off the end. Now, I am going to keep this in here plugged because I have an electric pump that I mount on the PTO cover, but for right now, until we're actually ready for it, I'm not going to put the pump on it. And so, all right, let's get these hoses mounted to the tanks. Got you sitting here on the step. That way. Okay, I take and run this part, including this T that has the two spin connectors for each side. Get that right up through there. It's kind of a tight squeeze. This one here is the one that hooks up to the right-hand tank. Oop. Almost knocked the camera off. Okay. Now, these filters, I'll take and, yeah, it's that frame hole right there. I'll take and run a zip tie right around there and just use that to kind of support them filters up right there. And so, okay, let's get pulled up from behind here. Can I get you setting up that way? And if I can get that end shoved up through there, we'll get that connected onto the tank. Okay, there's one. There's a little O-ring. Sits into a little groove right there. And that just goes up. And you get it budded up against here like that approximately. And get that collar. Once you can get that collar started on those threads, there we go. Works in pretty good. Okay, that's got one side tightened up. Let's jump to the right hand side. There's that one. Get the little O-ring put into it. Butt up against there and get that collar started. All right. That's got that one. end of the hose here that goes back to the pump, I just run right back behind those lines, and then if I can get the lay just right, it snakes around back behind the, well, across the axle, and then I turn it back under the 3-point. Get that zip tie run through that frame hole right there. Then just run around right between the filters, and that helps hold it in place and gives it a little more stability. And if I can get the zip tie shoved back together again, we'll be good to go. There we go. All right, that's got that secured. Now I'll show you back here on the back of it. And that just lays around the axle or across the top of the axle, and I bring it around on the back side of this one cylinder. Sit you down right there. I'm going to take this plug and put back on the end of it. But like I say, right here, right on that little door lid right there, that's part of the PTO cover, is where I take and mount. There we go. Yeah, pinch down. I take and mount that pump. And it's just an electric variable speed pump, and it runs off of this wiring conduit right here, which goes up into the cab, and it connects to a variable speed rheostat. And that way we can take and speed up and down. So, all right, that's got that set back there. I may grab another zip tie just so that the hose doesn't begin to work over and get out here in the tire. And I may connect it up in here somewhere, just that way it can't go anywhere. So, all right, let's get the tanks tied down, the rock boxes. I just take a ratchet strap around each spot here on the tank. So around there, just go right around the entire rock box. Grab the end of it underneath. Pull it back up. Hook them together. And then tie them down. Ready to go. In fact, these ratchet straps go pretty good with the tractor. They're yellow, so John Deere colors. Okay, that'll work. I just put them down just snug. They don't need to be so tight it breaks something. And then this big pigtail, I take and run right down through them holes and just wrap it around a few times just to get it tied up. There we are, just like that. Whoop. Okay, I just got that second one put on. Now on the other side, I take and put the ratchets on this side because they're just easier to get to. You don't have to work in behind that front tire. But over here, with I don't want that sticking out right there, because as you go to walk up to jump in, that's a good way to catch your hand or catch your pant leg or something like that and hook it on there. So I take and put the ratchets up on the front side. So let's get the right hand one tied down over here. All right, same thing over here. Get the strap thrown around. underneath the rock box back up. Take and hook both of your hooks together. Pull up some of the slack and ratchet him up. Like I say, I don't go real tight, just nice and snug. That way it can't go too far, but yeah, it's not going to break the tank or put a crack into it. But these tanks are actually made for a, you know, like a big U-bolt band that goes down over and sits in there. In fact, a lot of your 1,000-gallon fertilizer tanks have those, the big band that goes over it. And then I just run it through, wrap around a few times, and then just somebody take and tie that pigtail off. That way it can't get wrapped up or anything or get into the tire. Well, this is at the smaller spot. Go around a few more times right there, I guess. Okay, now we're ready to go through and tie them off. There we go. Okay, I'm gonna put the second one on. All right, let's get the second strap on the right-hand tank. Well, I think that's got this thing pretty much all ready to go on to the corn planter here in time. And so, tell you what, I'll take you back and show you the manifold for that we use for this pop-up on the planter itself. Okay, here we are. This line, this big line, goes, no, if the planter was in fold, I could show you. But it just goes up to the, well, the 2-point where it hooks on the tractor and plugs into the opposite side of the electric pump of that I have mounted on the PTO housing. But it just comes back here and goes into this 12 line manifold. You got these little 1/4-inch lines right here. And let me see if I can set you somewhere. And then it just has a basically just like a T-jet hookup, which I think that's what these are, like what a sprayer has. Okay, where is that thing? I know it's up in there. Well, now it's stuck in there. I can't get it out. There's a little orifice right in there. I'm not too sure how we can see it. Get it up here, get some light down. Yeah, you can see it. Got the red light of the camera flashing. It's a little stainless orifice. And I'll see if I can get that screen popped out. There we go. Okay. And right there is the little 100 mesh screen that we run inside these things. And it looks like it wouldn't hurt to clean. You can see it collects just a little bit of junk coming through, but not a whole lot. And so, yeah, that's what the inline screen looks like. Then it goes on down. Each one of these little lines runs back to the seed firmer. Come on, there we go. Like I say, that's one nice thing with this stuff. It's non-corrosive, so I got it on my fingers. It dripped down the planter frame. It's not going to rust. Okay, right here you can see we got 4 1/4-inch lines coming out here onto the right-hand wing. And of course you got one coming down right here. Not too sure how we can see up underneath there. Let me get some better light. All right. Right here, you can see that little, yeah, there it is, that little guy right there. That's like a little pressure deal, or like a little pressure shutoff, and that way your lines can't just sit there and keep dripping. I think it takes like about 5 pounds of pressure to actually push through that, and so it's basically like a little instant shutoff. When as soon as the pump turns off and the pressure drops, those just they're like spring load. They just close up and it cuts your flow off. Then back in here, if I can get some light back here for you to see, yeah, there we go. You can see the seed firmer, that little orange guy, and it's got the little line you can see the line coming right down the back of it, and a little Y, a little splitter. And those are actually made by Schaffert. When we got this planter, it had those Keatons on it. It did not have any fertilizer lines, just the seed firmer. And I hated those things, because when you go to set the planter down, like to fill up a seed or fill up a fertilizer or something like that, those Keatons would take and they hung down so far, they would jam up inside there, and it would bend that stiff plastic. And so I think probably within about the first 2 years, I went and cut them all off. And then like I say, in 2011 is when we started using this growers pop-up fertilizer, and I used that. That's when I put these Schafferts on. And the manifold up there, the pump, and that kind of stuff, all the lines, that all came from Schaffert Manufacturing. And we've been really happy with it. Those firmers, they are adjustable up and down, and if I remember correctly, I've actually got these adjusted all the way up. And so they basically just brush right over the top of the seed, and that's all. And you can set it down, or anything, even set it down in the grass, and they don't, it doesn't even hurt them. They hardly even touch. And works great for us. But yeah, that's just our pop-up setup there. So I just figured I'd show that to you right quick. And but yeah, like I say, it's worked great for us. Alright guys, I'm going to call this an end of the video. So take care, thanks a lot for watching. We'll see you next time.